I need to get out more. I do not. I mean, when I get out more, like try new things like TikTok. I try. I really do.
How do you not know the TikTok the talks, bro?
I think I'm an Instagram generation person,
No.
which is
It's not.
sad.
It's not that. It's not that. You're just inexperienced with trying new things out.
Well, I'm not like a timid person.
No one said anything about timid. It's just harder for you. Probably, you're more reluctant in trying new things out.
I disagree.
Shade, have you seen you dance?
Bro,
Nothing changed the past 15 years.
Do you know how many failed careers I have? I have a lot of them, which means I've tried a lot of new things. And there are a lot of failed directions in my life. And I'm damn proud of them. Therefore, it makes me a pretty adventurous person.
You use a scrub daddy for the shower? Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah, you were there.
Dude, what was the quote you said earlier about the step road thing?
You have to realize at one point or another that certain mistakes that you make in life are not the end of the journey. They're just a step in the journey.
All right, ready? Clap the dome. Ready? And 3, and 2, and 1, and go.
Okay, what are some of the most important things that like people should have for their social media?
Most important things?
Yeah.
Oh man. All right, so let me start by saying I know what you're supposed to do, and I still choose not to do it. All right, and I do that because one, to stay safe and healthy in my own brain of creativity, but also because I don't want to do what everybody else is doing, and that to me is actually the first step I think everyone needs to do, is don't do what everybody is doing. All the while paying attention to what is working on social media for other people. That doesn't mean you do what they do. It just means you have to understand that something that they're doing is working, and you have to figure out what you do that is going to work also. And then if what you're doing isn't working, maybe just take that idea, do it, understand why it works, and then you can flip it to some degree of what works for you. I'm big on being I don't want to say original because it's not true. We're not like true original thinkers in content creation, right? But at least for you to have this moment as an artist, as a creator, that I thought of that idea. If later on you find out that Joe Schmo in Japan or India or in Ireland had the same idea, cool. But at least you can say, no, I sat there for a decent amount of time and said, I'm going to do this, and it came from me. And that's a really cool feeling to have, regardless of how successful it is. It's just really nice to see it grow over time.
I see. So how could that help somebody on their social media channel? Like, what does it open up their I guess like content to do for other people, whether that be a business or a personal brand?
It's okay. So brand is a story, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you don't want to be walking into a store to make a decision. Do I buy this Nike or this Nike? Right? That's a very confusing situation. And at some point, somebody would say, this is the real one and this is the fake one. Right? This is the first one. This one, they're just copying what Nike did.
Right.
You just don't want to have that as your brand.
Right. You don't want to be the alternative or the watered down version of something else that already existed.
Exactly.
And when people see it, they don't even attribute it to you anymore. They attribute it to the original creator, let's say.
It's a nice feeling to have somebody say, I like what you do. It reminds me of yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
Right? At least it has like a separation of creativity. But I will always channel art through my experience as a dancer. Biting is a big thing in culture with stealing movements. Not that everything that you do is going to be underneath the sun, but you try your best to create from a place of honesty.
Right.
This is my life. These are my influences. This is what I stumbled upon and decided to do. Again, find out later on somebody else made something the same way. I don't know what you do in that situation, but still you can have this dignity in your creative process that I made that, right? So anyway, that's becomes your voice. It's your voice because it's literally your story. right? And that's something that no one can take away from you, no matter how much you want it to be. So, and that's what I think in the idea of bringing a sense of creativity to a brand is the self-expression that comes through it, which then it is art, right? It's not just the business of XYZ, right? It is, we made a business out of this idea and this brand, and here's the story. But the thing that's unique about this story, it is truly our story. And that, no matter how you put it, will only separate you from everybody else. And the hardest part in any business of creativity is separating yourself from everyone else so that you are not the same person, that everyone looks the same, talks the same, acts the same in a room full of auditions of all these people. Some reason you stand out and the director says, I want it. I want her.
Yeah. You really have to, I mean, there's a book right now that talks about that called Steal Like an Artist from, I think, Austin Kleon or something like that. But the idea is that like artists have been stealing for years, for generations. I think the hardest part is making it your own.
Yeah.
Because it does take a lot of soul searching. It does take a lot of like, how do I make this mine?
Right.
It actually goes back to what we were talking about earlier, that if you don't know what to say, then read, right? You have to take in knowledge to have a perspective on a particular thing to make it your own.
Right.
And, you know, it's okay if you take something that already exists and shift its perspective in a different way and make it your own. I think the problem is that when you rely too much on piggybacking off of its, let's say, success, or, you know, that the fact that it's doing well, as opposed to it being sufficiently well on its own. Right. And adding maybe to the conversation as opposed to trying to hijack the conversation.
How do I put it? Okay, so then let me speak on the opposite direction of that though.
Sure.
Because we were kind of talking about it earlier. It's also very hard to find one's voice if you just don't start talking or taking in information that is not your own.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
It's one of the hardest things to do.
Right. And essentially, artistically, if I'm inspired by something I walk past and I see it, and I don't know who did it, but it touched me a certain way, I may not do the research and the background, but I don't know, these colors did something to me.
Yeah.
It inspired and sparked some sort of idea. Did I steal that idea? I mean, to some degree, you know?
You stole the feeling.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. It gets weird. It's a weird conversation.
Well, you use the feeling.
Right, and that's what I would say in the idea of like an artist steals.
Yeah.
Right? I think steal, this is how I interpret it. I think steal is hyperbole.
Yeah.
It's a word that just heightens like our imagination around grab that idea. Right?
It's a negative like view of it also, because you could just say that you were motivated, you know, by something, which ultimately is the goal of art to begin with, right? It's to make you feel something. So if it made you feel something enough to make you want to do something with that idea, then it's successful. It did well.
This is how I interpret it. When somebody steals your heart. Right. That's not a negative connotation.
Right.
Right? There's something about that verbiage that when we use it, we accept it. We're like, yes, we embrace it. And also it feels very true. Like when you see someone and they fall in love, like you could see, man, that person really felt, right? That's a negative word, falling.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But as humans, we accept that verbiage. And that's what I mean when I say a true artist should steal, is that we embrace it as something negative. When I think in the same way, when someone says, I stole your heart, or you stole my heart, that's how I embrace it. An artist steals.
Yeah.
Because they fell in love with an idea.
Yeah.
Uber, describe your experience at last night's production in it being your first film production, which is also my first directing production as a narrative piece. So I guess to say, in context, you know the parameters of the situation.
Yeah.
But this is also your first film production.
So film production first. I think I've set up kind of like stories before in the past, very few times, but I definitely knew that it was something that I really enjoyed. But as a film production, there's a lot of holes that you feel the need to quickly kind of like fill. And sometimes there aren't enough holes, or you just feel like an extra, right? As from a producer standpoint, especially if you're, kind of been in a role that you haven't been in before,
Right.
you don't really know what to do. It's like that Talladega Nights, what's it called? Have you ever seen Talladega Nights, Ricky Bobby? I don't really know what to do with my hands. It's a very similar situation because everything is getting taken care of well. I mean, you can tell from all the actors that are on set, they know what they're doing. You know what you're doing. The people who are recording know what they're doing. The people with the lighting, with the audio, they all know what they're doing. The extras know what's expected of them. And, it's kind of like flowing really well. And it makes you look around and go kind of like, something's must be missing that I'm supposed to be doing here. What is it that that I should be doing here? And it's not until after the fact you're like, okay, I could have done this, I could have done that, that could have been made, that could have been a more seamless experience. This could have been, perfected or whatever it is. But it allows you the opportunity to take a look and say, how can I make this a much more seamless experience for everybody, a much more enjoyable experience for everybody? How can I make everybody else's job easier in this case? And sometimes that might be as simple as making sure that equipment is easily accessible, that drinks and food are accessible, that we have a timeline for everything, so that from point A to point B, we know that we have this much time to shoot for this amount of scenes. So we really have to be very particular about like, how can we maximize everything that we have to do in the smallest amount of time possible to make sure that it fits, that it's done well, and, that we're not spending more time than we need to, and ultimately getting people more tired, which then the productivity and the sheer momentum of the shoot ends up dying.
Right.
So there's a lot of energy at first, but then towards the end, it just becomes this thing where like everybody's ready to go eat some pancakes at IHOP.
We were right at the cusp.
Yeah.
Towards the end.
Yeah.
Where I could feel it, where people were, I just want to get this done.
Yeah.
Right? Myself included.
Mm-hmm.
And it was technically a half days of work.
Yeah.
Right. So, which makes me realize, okay, I did good in not overstretching my own boundaries, but I did pass those lines a little bit, which then shows me, all right, we just got some work and endurance, that I have to really think about in how we pace this, how we prepare for this, so that we can complete a 12-hour day.
Yeah.
If we were going to, think about it, you don't want people to be on a production they say, I'm going to take 2 weeks away from your life.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right. And people do that. They go on productions, but what's your budget like to tell people that?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So you have to be efficient and say, look, are you down to do this? It's going to take us 2 days to do, 2 12-hour days to do.
Yeah.
Right. And some people say, I can't, I'm not going to.
Yeah.
And also you may ask people and they may give you a not true answer either and say that they are, and they're actually unable to, and they don't know how to communicate that. You have to figure out how you're going to work that into your schedule or the schedule you didn't make. There's a lot. Okay, that's the production side, right? What about, I don't want to say emotionally, but socially or experientially? There you go.
Socially, and I guess the overall experience was really great. There's a lot of openness to ideas, to interpretations. I think that one of the things I noticed is that you can give direction to somebody, even though they may not have known you or even know that you might be knowing what you're talking about or whether it makes sense, whatever it is that you're saying, but they're willing and open to accept that direction and say, you know what, that's a great idea, or that's a good point of view. Thank you for letting me know that. Right.
Yeah.
And, it makes everybody feel welcome and a part of the set because they're all in on this entire thing. And ultimately what we're trying to do is create something that's great. But the openness of everybody really makes everybody feel welcome.
Right.
And I think that's fantastic. Everybody's having a great time. Everybody knows each other, which is, great, or getting to know each other. And it is the type of environment where creativity thrives, right? When everybody is adding to their idea or to the idea. as opposed to everybody's trying to take it in their own direction. Everybody just understands that we're trying to get to this idea or this thing that makes sense, that has feeling, that has emotion. How can we push it further, right? That's where a lot of the improv makes it gives it life, right? There's so many times when, we had some of our actor buddies kind of like saying things that they didn't say in the previous lines, but it just it adds more texture, more background to the story. That's like, oh, this is fantastic.
You can feel them sinking in.
Yeah,
right?
They're becoming the character.
Right.
They're getting enwrapped in who the character actually is. And it allows also continuity for future, episodes as well, TBD. Because I think that there's one thing that I really liked from Jansen's character is specifically when he says, I'm only at 2,000 followers. I'm trying to get 3,000 followers on TikTok. So like, there's a whole thing there that can be done. I'm like, oh my God, that's great. It's fantastic.
Just that piece alone is a piece of content within the content.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think what's great that you picked that up is that while you also realize that it's improv, you also realize there was a structure that gave him like a runway to make that jump.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that I always find interesting about storytelling. Like, I can practice a move in dance 10,000 ways, but I don't know what song I'm going to play. Like, I don't know what prompt I'm going to have to do these moves that I've been practicing. They can come out in a different order. They can come out in a different feeling and texture. They can come out punctual. They can come out loose. I don't know. And that's what's cool about that. In the moment of when I say action or record, whatever, in that moment, you don't know, but you also have a certain sense of preparation mixed with, here's a prompt. And that prompt is either a script or a random left turn that we decided to fall into. And that I described in the beginning of the production, which is something's gonna go wrong, but that doesn't mean it's wrong.
Right.
It could be the very left turn that we need to make. And a good example actually is I actually wanted to shoot the whole thing handheld, and we ended up not doing that. And I didn't do that because Twin had already had the Ronin set up, and if we were switching back to a lens that I didn't choose in the beginning, we would have had to wait another 30 minutes because the condensation in Florida.
Yeah.
That's what you have to do with the lens.
Yeah.
And then also it takes away from this, like, this guy just set up a Ronin, a stabilizer. So I thought about it, and I don't know if it's going to work, but I thought about it, and it was like, it could be the thing that actually saves the project.
Yeah.
Is that, why does this look kind of grainy? It's nighttime, but it's a steady shot throughout the shoot. It's not a shaky, messy fade. So that contrast could actually help tell the story a little bit too. It gives it a structure when everything else feels very kind of downgraded almost, right? You didn't have a lot of extras. It was a very weak background. It wasn't like a huge, So it ups the value of production,
right,
while embracing all the things that are not of value around it.
Yeah, that key feature of like 30 minutes for condensation of lenses really makes you realize that, like, hey, there's a lot that goes into this thing. That really could derail an entire project, and I'd never even thought about it. I was telling him, like, just wipe it. It's like, no.
I almost got fired over it one time.
Seriously?
Yeah, I had to go to Puerto Rico to do a shoot, and one of my jobs was to get a sunrise shot on the beach of where I was staying. And I didn't anticipate that. And it's Puerto Rico. We're not, it's not the States. So condensation in the Caribbean is a little bit different.
Yeah.
Yeah. A little bit longer.
Yeah.
And I had gone decently early and I missed my shot. I didn't get it. But I was flown out to that location.
Yeah.
To get maybe 5 specific shots.
Yeah.
So when you're like out there and like, oh, go do this shoot, that's one thing. But if they're like, no, we just need these 5 shots. We're going to pay you to go do this. And you come back with 4. That's a problem.
That's a huge problem, yeah.
Yeah. And in one sense, it's not that I didn't try. It's that professionally,
you didn't know that this was a thing.
I was unaware. I would be amateur in that sense of doing a production in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
That's why you should hire people in Puerto Rico to do a production, not someone that lives in Europe to do it, because
They won't anticipate that.
they wouldn't know it. It's a different terrain. They might not be able to complete the job.
Was that a moment where you probably could have been like, hey, I actually need to stay another day. I wasn't able to get this shot because of the condensation of the lenses?
I wasn't experienced enough to make that call.
Gotcha.
It was just very like, I'm gonna go back with my tail between my legs
Mm-hmm.
and hope to God I don't get fired.
Yeah.
And the good thing is that's why they have stock footage.
Yeah.
And I like to use.
That's a stock.
Okay, your turn.
Um,
I'm gonna get water while you ask the question. Yeah, that's why like when you came in, I was like, "Oh, you look good." Like I care about fashion, sometimes too much.
I've seen rocking shoes. I seen you rock your wife's pink Nike shoes.
Yo, those shoes are fresh.
you know, when I was trying to
Not
buy
great.
some tennis shoes, and I kept on looking at the men's section, it's just like, bro, these shoes are like, all right, they're not great. But the women's section have like all these pastels. I'm like, damn, that shit looks fire, boy. What's my size in a woman's shoe for tennis? That would be fantastic because they have like these nice combinations that they don't have for men.
But I made
Nike.
I made this mistake on my wedding. I got Converse shoes that were cheap, right? Not cheap, but cheaper because I bought them in women's. I don't know why, but wherever I was, it happened.
Mhm.
I was like, oh, this is smart because you get a expensive suit.
Yeah.
My feet were killing me the whole day because
They were thinner.
yes, I didn't realize that I have a fatter foot. I don't have a.
But I feel like that's Converse for a guy. Converse in general also. I don't like Converse, honestly.
No.
I feel like Converse is a really what is it? Overhyped shoe. It's got like culturally, yes, it is relevant. It does a job. It looks great on a lot of people. It's fantastic. Great job, Converse. The only thing I will say, I have never been comfortable in a pair of Converse shoes. It just does.
Oh, I was like, what?
Why would you do?
I don't know. I thought you were trying to get me to moisturize your ear.
That's not my favorite.
I think the only reason that Nike acquired them is so that they have some sort of relationship to
Skateboarding?
Vans.
I mean, if they have proprietary things and whatnot, and they bought it over, and then they use those for the new SE.
Because I mean, tell me that Converse didn't also pigeonhole themselves. Because look at all of the other styles of Converse shoes. Is it not just like a weirder version of like the classic Chucks?
Yeah, absolutely. It's weird.
They don't know where else to go. They're just kind of like, we're just going to increase the sole size. We're going to make it wider. We're going to...
No, they're
Way too niche.
Converse is like the vanilla ice of shoes. It just needs one hit, man.
And that's it. It's like, let's
All you need, and we're
just
gonna
keep changing the colors.
and we're gonna exactly we'll
Keep
do this in
changing the colors.
commercials,
They're like dunks.
in movies.
They're like Nike dunks.
Yeah, Nike Dokes are first.
But they're done. They need a new era. They need a new evolution.
Absolutely. And this is my opinion. This is just my opinion. I think that Nike style wise is like, as far as like the structure of the shoe, right, is already outdated.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. I'm not saying that they're not new age, but I think we have yet to really experience what that modern day experience is for your feet in 2025.
So tell me your favorite sneaker brand.
Oh, Nike.
Why Nike?
Nike has been involved in most of the areas of lifestyle that I'm a part of.
Mm-hmm.
So they've just done well with being a part of my life.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably the best way I could say it. Like, I'm not in circles where people are wearing Steve Madden all the time.
Gotcha.
And I'm not in circles really where people are also rocking, let's say, Crocs.
Right. But you could say, for example, Puma and Adidas will probably be something that people have rocked around you. Why have those not later, but why have those not played as much of a role in your life as Nike? Okay, because I mean, you can go Adidas route. Yeah, Adidas Classics was like what was part of hip hop, right?
So this is my honest response. I love classic Pumas, like the red suedes. but I can't do all the things I want to do in my life with those. It's very specific on what I can do in that, right? Adidas shell toes. I love classic Adidas shell toes. Love them. Probably other toes. Yeah, shell toes. Shell tops.
I don't remember what those are. What are those?
Those are classic Adidas.
Oh, you're talking about the. I see what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
The one that look like Stan Smith's.
from DNC.
Yeah.
Exactly. And Adidas probably is the first major brand to get involved in the hip hop. Is the brand, right? So they've been around, but there's certain things in my life still that I can't do in Adidas, and that's just me.
Yeah.
K-Swiss. I actually really like K-Swiss shoes. I cannot wear them doing several things.
Yeah.
In my life.
I continue to hear that K-Swiss are one of the most comfortable shoes ever.
Yes.
And I have yet to own one of them.
Yeah. I used to.
What does that say about the brand of K-Swiss? That, like, I know you are probably more comfortable than every other shoe out there that I have worn, but I'm still not buying your shoe.
It's target audience. I don't think they're after our demographic.
Oh, of course not.
Yeah. Like I used to steal my mom's K-Swiss to go break all the time.
Yeah.
But she's a nurse.
I see.
Like, so her lifestyle and what she would do from day to day, night to night is very different than what I do. But technically, as a creative movement person, you want something comfortable.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
But as an artist,
you want something fresh.
That's fresh. And that's, for me, where Nike comes in. Is that on a stylistic choice from colors to design, it's like, fire, right? Yeah. My favorite shoes are Hirashis from mainly all the Air Maxes. Favorite Nike shoe is the Cortezes that I won't wear. And I won't wear them because somebody in my community wears them and makes them very iconic to me.
Mm-hmm.
I just won't do it.
You won't do it.
I won't align myself with someone of a certain caliber. Because then in my mind, I'm like, I'm a part of their world. I don't want to be part of your world.
You want to have your own world.
I have my own world.